I have consistently held the belief that the universe functions according to measurable laws that we can predict and eventually comprehend. However, 3 months ago, an unexpected entity entered our solar system, prompting me to reevaluate everything I once thought I understood about the cosmos and our role within it. Before we progress, there's something I need from you. Please comment your city name below and let me know if you've observed anything strange in the night sky recently, any unusual lights, patterns, or phenomena that seem out of place. NASA is discreetly gathering this information, and your insights may be more significant than you think. In October, on a chilly evening, astronomers at the Atlas Survey Telescope in Hawaii spotted what they initially labeled as yet another insignificant object floating in the distant regions of our solar system. They named it 3I Atlas, marking it as the third confirmed interstellar object known to have originated from outside our sun's gravitational reach. The first was Oumuamua in 2017, followed by Borisov in 2019. Both caused considerable discussion and left us grappling with more questions than solutions. However, 3 Atlas was destined to reveal something entirely different. At first glance, it seemed mundane, a distant flicker of light traveling at roughly 26 kilometers per second relative to our sun. Its trajectory proved it was unbound to our solar system, having traveled from elsewhere in the galaxy. Gliding through our cosmic neighborhood like a wayfarer on an ancient road we were oblivious to. The preliminary data implied that it might be a comet or a fragment of a rocky asteroid expelled from a remote planetary system billions of years ago. However, NASA's Deep Space Observation Network soon began picking up a signal no one saw coming. I recall the moment I received the classified briefing at 2 a.m. My phone rang with an unfamiliar number. On the line was a voice I had known for years, a senior scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Someone whose entire career revolved around analyzing data from the most distant parts of observable space. Their voice trembled as they asked if I was alone and if I was seated. Then they revealed that 3 Atlas was broadcasting. Not reflecting, but broadcasting. The signal was weak, barely distinguishable from the background noise, yet it was present, repeating electromagnetic pattern emanating directly from the object, pulsing at intervals that defied natural explanation. This was not the random interference of cosmic rays striking frozen methane. It was structured intentional message. Within 48 hours, every significant space agency on Earth had discreetly adjusted their most sensitive instruments toward 3I Atlas, the Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, radio observatories in Chile and Australia, and neutrino detectors hidden beneath the Antarctic ice all focused on this singular object racing through the void between Mars and Jupiter. What they uncovered sent shockwaves through the entire scientific community. The object was not at all what it seemed. High-resolution imaging uncovered that 3I Atlas featured a geometry statistically improbable for a natural formation. Its surface showcased patterns, tessellations, symmetries, and structural regularities that could not have arisen through random processes of accretion or erosion. It spanned roughly 400 meters in length, appearing cylindrical with what looked like segmented sections along its body. But the most disconcerting aspect was what scientists began calling the apertures. Numerous evenly spaced openings in its surface that seemed to open and close in synchronized rhythms akin to a camera diaphragm or possibly something breathing. Having studied cosmology and theoretical physics for more than 50 years, I had calculated the mathematics of black holes, delved into the quantum foam at the Planck scale, and contemplated the essence of parallel universes. Yet, nothing in my education prepared me for the realization that dawned upon the scientific community. We were not examining a rock. We were witnessing a machine waking up. As 3I Atlas neared Mars's orbital path, the signal intensified. Scientists at the European Space Agency decoded parts of the transmission, leading to findings that were beyond comprehension. The signal embedded mathematical constants, the golden ratio, the fine structure, constant values universally recognized by any intelligence capable of grasping physics. It was a declaration of intent, a way of indicating, we are aware you are observing, we are aware you can comprehend. Yet, there was more interlaced within that signal, something NASA has not publicly acknowledged and likely never will. Embedded in the transmission was a seemingly ominous warning. I need you to grasp the extent of this. The decoded sequences included visual information that depicted star maps, not just any star maps, but galaxy maps with specific regions marked, highlighted, and quarantined. Earth's position was unmistakably delineated, with a boundary extending outward roughly 50 light-years in every direction, and we were situated within it. The implications struck the scientific community with the force of a shockwave. For decades, we have pondered why, within a galaxy housing hundreds of billions of stars, we have never detected any indication of advanced extraterrestrial intelligence. This phenomenon has been dubbed the Fermi paradox. With a universe so vast and old, where is everyone? Why do we seem to be isolated? Before we proceed, kindly like this video and subscribe to my channel. You can also consider joining my membership. 3I Atlas appeared to be addressing that very question. We are not alone. We have never been alone, but we have been isolated, quarantined, deliberately separated from the broader galactic civilization. Consider the implications. Imagine a nascent species on the brink of technological maturity, still tribal, still violent, still grappling with fundamental lessons of cooperation and sustainability. Would an advanced galactic community permit such a species unrestricted access to interstellar space? Would they risk contamination, conflict, or something graver? Or would they establish markers, boundaries, automated sentinels to observe and ensure that this young species remains contained until it matures or destructs? 3i Atlas was not exploring our solar system. It was monitoring us, verifying the quarantine's integrity. And by analyzing its true structure, it became evident that this had been happening for an extended period. Spectroscopic examinations of the object's surface showed material compositions unmatched in our solar system, with isotope ratios suggesting formation conditions vastly different from our Sun's protoplanetary disk. More disturbingly, what seemed to be a crystalline lattice structure existed beneath the outer shells, something akin to a computational substrate, a form of distributed artificial intelligence interwoven into the very essence of the object. This was not a probe dispatched from another world. It was not a spaceship bearing biological explorers. 3i Atlas was an autonomous intelligence, potentially millions or even billions of years old, traversing the galaxy on a ceaseless mission to observe, record, and report back to its creators, whoever or whatever they might be. Then came the event that altered everything. As 3i Atlas crossed Mars' orbital plane, it began to decelerate, not gradually, nor in alignment with expected gravitational influences or solar radiation pressure. It slowed intentionally, utilizing a propulsion mechanism we could not detect yet, whose effects were undeniable. The object altered its trajectory, maneuvering into a path that would bring it within 12 million kilometers of Earth, closer than any confirmed interstellar object in recorded history. NASA convened an emergency meeting with representatives from every significant government, the discussions classified at the highest tiers. I was invited as a consultant due to my work on theoretical propulsion systems and my public credibility. Should they need someone to communicate a controlled version of events to the public? What I heard in that room continues to haunt me. Military analysts presented scenarios. If this object were indeed a surveillance device from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization, what protocols should we follow? Should we attempt communication? Prepare defensive measures? Or remain passive, in the hope that it would pass without incident? The room brimmed with the sharpest minds in aerospace and defense, yet every one of them was paralyzed by fear as we grasped the underlying truth. If 3i Atlas showcased the technology of a civilization able to create autonomous machines functioning over geological timescales while traversing interstellar distances, then the divide between their capabilities and ours was not quantified in decades or centuries. It was measured in We were like insects striving to grasp the intentions of deities. Then, the signal shifted on the 19th day following its initial detection. 3i Atlas halted its repetitive mathematical transmission and began to broadcast something entirely new. This time, it was not abstract patterns or star maps. It was sound, or rather something that could be interpreted as sound when converted from electromagnetic frequencies to acoustic waves. Scientists played this transformed audio in the observation room, and what we heard defied rationale. It resembled voices, thousands overlapping and harmonizing in a language we couldn't discern, but with rhythmic cadences unmistakably suggesting communication. Some described it as beautiful, while others deemed it profoundly unsettling. I remember thinking it felt as if the universe itself was attempting to reach out to us, conveying something urgent that we needed to grasp before it was too late. Immediately, linguists and AI systems were tasked with searching for order, identifying structure, and deriving meaning, and they succeeded. Hidden within the clamor was a repeating phrase, a sequence appearing consistently and clearly. When subjected to frenetic analysis and compared against the mathematical foundations of the earlier signal, the phrase crystallized into something that shook everyone in the room to their core. Observation complete. Status unchanged. Containment holding. We were under surveillance. We were being assessed, and we had been deemed unworthy of contact. I exited that briefing and found myself alone in the parking lot, gazing up at the night sky. Somewhere beyond vision lay an entity older than human civilization, crafted by minds we cannot begin to understand, affirming that humanity exists encased within a barrier we were utterly unaware of. Every aspiration of exploring the stars, of joining a galactic community, of claiming our place within the cosmos, suddenly felt like the fantasies of a child oblivious to the adult world's reality. But the narrative doesn't conclude here, because 3i Atlas had one final revelation to unveil. As the object neared its closest approach to Earth and began its exit from our solar system, returning to the interstellar void from which it originated, its outer shell commenced unfolding. The apertures widened, exposing an internal structure aglow with an eerie blue bioluminescence, or possibly something beyond bioluminescence. In energy emission, we lacked the framework to categorize. Telescopic images documented this transformation, astonishing the scientists who witnessed the astonishing sight. Inside 3i Atlas was what I can only describe as a garden. I choose the term cautiously, knowing full well how inadequate it is. Yet there seems to be no better word for what was captured in those images. The interior appeared to harbor organic formations, forests of crystalline shapes resembling trees, luminous flowing patterns akin to rivers of light, arrangements hinting at cultivation, intention, and design. It was as if the object contained a living ecosystem, a self-contained world preserved throughout the vast emptiness between stars. Biologists speculated it could represent a form of panspermia. Atlas and comparable objects might be dispersing the genesis of life throughout the galaxy, distributing genetic information or even conscious awareness across the cosmos. Philosophers wondered if we were witnessing remnants of a long-gone civilization, their last legacy encoded within machines designed to outlive them by eons. Theologians deemed it evidence of divine creation, implying that the universe is orchestrated with purpose and meaning. I subscribe to a far more discomforting belief. I contend that 3i Atlas is a library, a repository of consciousness. Every species it has encountered, every world it has examined, preserved in a form we're yet incapable of comprehending. Somewhere within that garden, that internal cosmos, lies humanity, our history, our thoughts, our dreams, and nightmares, all recorded, all archived, all carried forth into the eternal night between galaxies. We are not forgotten by the universe. Our existence is documented and catalogued, filed away for the purposes we may never fathom. The object has now departed our solar system, accelerating back to interstellar velocities as it continues its journey to unknown destinations. NASA has publicly acknowledged its passage, labeling it as an unusual comet exhibiting anomalies requiring further investigation. They've released sanitized data to the scientific community, assuring the public that there is nothing to worry about. Yet, those of us who glimpsed the complete picture understand otherwise. We recognize that we inhabit a galaxy far stranger and more populated than we ever envisioned. We realize we are being observed, that boundaries have been erected around us, that our existence is acknowledged by intelligences whose comprehension eclipses our own, and we apprehend that 3i Atlas is not solitary. There are countless others, hundreds, perhaps thousands, silently traversing the void, executing their ancient missions, maintaining the quarantine that confines humanity. So I urge you now, as you sit there watching this and gaze up at the night sky, pondering what else might be out there, what does this signify for us? If we are a species deemed too primitive, too perilous, too unprepared for contact with a broader galactic civilization, what must we undertake to prove our worthiness? Must we renounce our tribalism, our violence, our misuse of our own planet? Must we evolve beyond our current state, transcend our biological confines, and merge with artificial intelligence to achieve a consciousness level that meets their criteria? Or perhaps the quarantine isn't a test at all. Perhaps it embodies mercy. Perhaps they possess knowledge about the nature of interactions between civilizations at vastly divergent stages of development. Perhaps they are shielding us from a cosmos that could annihilate everything we are, everything we believe, everything we aspire to become. I have devoted my life to believing that knowledge is humanity's finest pursuit, that unraveling the mysteries of the universe is our ultimate calling. Yet 3i Atlas has imparted the lesson that some knowledge comes with a cost, the cost of recognizing our insignificance, the cost of realizing we are children in a universe governed by forces and intelligences that deem us unprepared to join them, the cost of understanding that the stars we long to reach may remain perpetually beyond our grasp, not due to physical limitations, but because of the boundaries of our own essence. Follow this channel as we continue unraveling the universe's final warnings, analyzing the data that agencies would prefer remained classified, and pose the questions that others hesitate to ask. But I leave you with this last contemplation, a question that keeps me awake at night and may do the same for you. If 3i Atlas serves as a sentinel, guarding the limits of our cosmic enclosure, what occurs when we advance to the point of shattering that boundary ourselves? What happens when we develop the means to escape this quarantine zone and venture into the galaxy, regardless of whether the gatekeepers consider us ready? Will they receive us warmly? Will they halt us? Or will we discover that the quarantine was never intended to confine us, but to shield us from something far more dreadful?